So today I'm just going to go over some graphic novels that I read and that I had my son at least preview. And I'm going to start with his favorite to his least favorite. So his favorite is Wallace the Brave, which is this one by Will Henry. And I would describe it as Big Nate meets the TV show Bob's Burgers. So it has the same humor as Big Nate. It's great. My son loves it because it's really funny. But Big Nate, I think it's just Big Nate and his dad, so it's like a single father. And this is a family, so it's Big Nate, his parents, and his little brother. And Big Nate, no, it's Wallace, his little brother, and his parents. And his father is a fisherman, and they live in this really cute sort of seaside fishing village called Snug Harbor. And what is especially funny is that Wallace's little brother has that. The little brother is always in like a baby carrier pack, but the baby can talk, and he's just this hysterical character. Kind of reminds me of a Louise. So this is a very sweet and a very funny series. I would say it's perfect for ages. I would say like first and second grade and up. But my son, who's going into 8th grade, really likes it as well. So it's a pretty wide age range. Definitely for Big Nate fans and even, Captain Underpants fans, I would say. It's a really nice series. I think it's a series. Okay, so the second one is this ONIBI Diary of a Yokai Ghost Hunter. And it is by, it says Atelier Sento. And this one is kind of I made my son read the whole thing, and I enjoyed the Japanese culture in it. But as a story, it's a little bit, I would describe this as sort of like the game Pokemon meets, I don't even know how to, maybe, I'm not sure what it means actually. But it's sort of like this Ghostbusters, actually. I would say Pokemon meets the movie Ghostbusters. So it's these two kids who live in France, and they're in Japan, and they receive this toy plastic camera with film as a gift, and then they're kind of going around different areas of Japan trying to photograph ghosts because the camera apparently can capture ghosts on film. And so it's definitely, these kids are definitely, I don't know what age, but there's no adults with them. So that's definitely like a Pokemon, sort of reality where you can just go anywhere and it's safe and you're going on these adventures. But in terms of age range, it's a little strange, right? Because it's like, what age kids can go off on their own unless they're in Pokemon land? And so what age is this book for, this graphic novel? It isn't completely like a story that hangs together, although that's the premise. Each chapter is an adventure that they go on for a particular ghost finding mission. And it has sort of like a cool, feature where they show you like the photograph when it finally gets developed, and sort of these, white out figures are the ghosts that are captured, which are called yokai. And it's not really scary. Although, there's like small, adventures where, it's a little bit scary for the characters. But, they always seem to be safe. And the ghosts, even if they're, less, or they're a little bit more predatory, don't really affect them. Don't really, so it's not really scary. But it's sort of, I'm not quite sure what the age range is for. My son loves Pokemon. I don't think he's seen, he might have seen Ghostbusters the movie. He's he's a quarter Japanese, and, he had trouble getting through it. So, I don't know, I think it's interesting premise. I'm not quite sure who the audience is, though. But it is in a graphic novel format, which definitely makes, I think, books more appealing. But I think it's just because it's not really like, a chapter by chapter story that unfolds into drama that make it less like a less interesting book. Okay, the next one is called Fake Blood, and this is the debut of Whitney Gardner, and it looks like really thick. You know what I mean? Like that's the first. It's like thick. It's very heavy. It's over 300 pages, but it actually reads really fast because, as you can see by the panels, there's like very few words on it. And so I started this book with my son. He thought it was boring. He didn't finish it. I finished it. And I would say, it's sort of geared for, the main character is a new sixth grader. So he just started sixth grade, and he has a crush on a girl. And the girl is fascinated with vampires. So that kind of sets up the whole story. So my son, who's going into eighth grade, is not girl crazy. And I think the first half of the book sort of sets up his crush, and he just thought that was way too slow because that's not a topic he's interested in. And then the actual vampire adventure, which I think is the more, fast-paced, interesting part of the book, kind of really only gets going, around page 200. So it's like more than 2/3 through the book. About, I would say, more than halfway through. And then you have sort of an adventure story about vampires with a twist. And I think if it had been the other way around, more vampire, more adventure in the beginning, and the romance playing out more at the end, it would have got my son's attention. And so I think this book is aimed for ages, I would say, 10 and up. And probably more boy oriented, although I think girls would like it too. But it's definitely someone who likes vampires and likes graphic novels and doesn't mind like boy girl romance, like a very light, like more like a crush, middle school crushes. So my son doesn't really like those topics. And so I'm going to add this to my Halloween roundup, that I'm doing, which is mostly picture books. And the next book is this Ozzie and Milly by Dana Simpson, and she's written the popular Phoebe and the Unicorn series, and this is almost like a prequel, this is a series she wrote before Phoebe and the Unicorn, and it's about two foxes, and it's also a male-female relationship where the female fox has a fox friend who's male. It's not her boyfriend, but like that seems to be the gist of the book. And it's a little bit like, Calvin and Hobbes, in that it has like sort of that kind of philosophical, type of panels. And it has that type of humor. But I'm a little puzzled by the age, because with the two foxes, to me, that reads younger. So like, third grade, second grade. But then the sort of older humor makes the book older. And so I think this is just sort of what she wrote before she did a hit graphic novel series. And it's just the placement of the age group isn't quite right, which is why it didn't get published before. But now that one's a hit, they're just kind of publishing everything she's ever written and drawn. But, I think girls then who are, wise beyond their years in second or third grade, and, sort of have boys that are their friends but not their boyfriend, maybe that age would want to read it, but I'm not quite sure. I think it's sort of a little bit in too many places, and so I'm not quite sure if, who would actually really like it. And the last one is this Kid Beowulf, which is a series. This is the third book. My son, I gave him the first and the second. He wasn't interested. This is interesting because it's sort of like a historical fiction series. But there's a lot of words on the panels, and the font is quite small. And so, usually I would say, oh, graphic novels, these are great for reluctant readers. But this one isn't, just because it's just too dense. And also the topic, historical fiction, I would say typically doesn't really appeal to reluctant readers, especially boys who like humor. There's a little bit of humor, but it's not really humor that drives it. it's really more around this historical fiction of Spain in the like 1000-ish during El Cid. So it's like if your kid like Beowulf, I guess, which is what my kids all read because it's mandatory in 6th grade. So it's probably like 6th grade and older. Or I would say more advanced readers who are younger, like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, who like historical fiction and read well. This would be a nice, addition and give them another genre that they might like. But yeah, I'm not quite sure, who loves this book. So the typical boys that I would hand graphic novels to, this wouldn't quite fit. But there is that historical fiction series. I think it's by Nathan Hale. There's one about the Donner Party. The font is also really small. Anyone who reads that series, I have to look it up. I'll put it in the comments below, though. They might possibly like the series as well. Okay, thank you.